So today I am reading from the book Magic Words by Jonah Berger. I am at this page from Magic Words. I will start recording now. So after when the scientists analyzed the results, they found that asking for advice had made people think their partner was more competent, not less. And the reason why has everything to do with how asking someone for advice makes them feel. People like feeling smart. They like feeling that other people think they are intelligent or have valuable things to say. So, asking for advice can make us look smart because it strokes the advice giver's ego rather than thinking we are not capable, rather than thinking we are not capable or stupid for asking. Advice givers draw a very difficult conclusion. Of course, my opinions are valuable. So, this person is smart for asking for them. In some sense, asking for advice is almost like flattery. When we want people to like us, we often try to flatter them. But while people like being flattered, they don't always trust the person flattering them. They are smart enough to realize that flattery comes with ulterior motives. Consequently, flattery can backfire. Asking for advice is more effective, though, because it's less overt. Rather than telling someone they are great, asking them for advice shows that you hold them in high regard, that you think they are smart and value their opinion. Consequently, not only does asking for advice gather valuable insight, it also makes the asker seem more competent. It makes advice givers feel smarter and more self confident, which makes them seek askers more positively as well. The advantages of asking for advice is just one example of a much broader linguistic category. Asking questions, whether at work or home, we are constantly asking and answering questions. Which solution do you like better? How much will it cost? Can you pick the kids up from practice? By some estimates, people ask and answer hundreds of questions a day. Questions serve a variety of functions. Sure, they collect information or satisfy curiosity, but they also impact how the asker is perceived, the flow of conversation, and the social connection between the people talking. In any social interaction, though there are a seemingly infinite number of questions that could be asked, we could ask about someone's job, their interests, or even what they had for breakfast. And while some questions seem like they might facilitate social connection or make the asker look good, others seem less beneficial. Ask someone an embarrassing or intrusive question, for example, and they might not be as interested in talking to you again. So, are certain questions more effective than others? And how do we know the right types of questions to ask? Four strategies for asking better questions are to: first one is follow up, second one is deflect difficulties, third one is avoid making assumptions, and the final one is start safe then build. Follow up. When it comes to having successful interpersonal interactions, the age old story is that it's all about personality and appearance. Some people are funnier, more charismatic, or more attractive than others, and these personal qualities just make them inherently more likable. Another common explanation is that interpersonal similarity is key. If it's often said that birds of a feather flock together, for example, and people with common interests may have more to talk about or better things to say. But while these factors certainly play a role, they are somewhat disheartening because there is not much we can do to change them. Our height is fixed, it's tough to change one's personality, and while we can learn about blockchain, stoicism, or any other topic to try and fit with a particular group of people, it's not the easiest thing to pull off. Does that mean that the less attractive, less charming of us are doomed to fail? Or might there be another way? To find out what drives first impressions, researchers from Stanford and UC Santa Barbara analyzed thousands of first dates. They collected demographic information like age, physical characteristics like height and weight, and other features like hobbies and interests. In addition, they captured the interaction itself. Using microphones, they recorded what each person said throughout the date. Not surprisingly, appearance played a role. Women, for example, were especially attracted to men who were taller than average. Similarity also mattered. People were more interested in going on a second date with another person who had similar interests and hobbies. Even beyond these more fixed aspects, though, the words people used has a significant impact. Asking questions lead to a better first impression. It made people feel like they clicked and made them more interested in going on a second date. Similar things have been found in a host of domains. In everyday getting to know you conversations between strangers, for example, people who asked more questions were seen as more likable and fun to spend time with. And in doctor patient interactions, patients were more satisfied when doctor asked them more questions about their lives and experiences. But when researchers look further, they found that certain types of questions were more beneficial. As the advice study suggests, asking questions can signal that we are interested in someone's viewpoint, that we care enough about them and their perspective that we want to learn more. Similarly, when going on a date or engaging in a regular everyday conversation, asking questions suggests that rather than just talking about ourselves, we are interested in our conversation partner and what they have to say. Consequently, how beneficial different questions are depends in part on the degree to which they signal caring and interest. Introductory questions like "How are you" are an automatic part of everyday discourse. As a result, it's hard to know whether someone is really interested or just being polite. So called mirror questions, ones that parrot back whatever comes in, has similar effects. When someone asks, "What did you have for lunch?" we often some responded and something like a Reuben sandwich. How about you? Compared to just answering the question, a Reuben sandwich asking a question back suggests some interest. It indicates that rather than being completely self focused, we are interested or aware enough to return the favor. But because volleying back the same question requires little effort, it's less likely to have interpersonal benefits. Similar to asking an introductory question, it's not clear whether we are actually interested or just being courteous. Other types of questions can even be detrimental. If someone says, I am taking a week off to go to the mountains, a response like "What's your favorite movie" is a non sequitur. sequitur. It has little relationship to what the first person said and doesn't follow what was being discussed. Rather than indicating caring and interest, it suggests the exact opposite. Someone either is not listening or was so bored or uninterested that they went ahead and switched the topic. Not surprisingly, this doesn't lead the asker to be perceived positively and can even be worse than not asking any question at all. Instead, a better type of question to ask is one that follows up on what was just said. If someone says they are a foodie, For example, asking them what types of food they like to eat. If someone says they are concerned a new project is not working, asking them why they feel that way. And if someone says they can't wait for the weekend, asking them what they are looking forward to. Follow up questions encourage conversation partners to elaborate further, to say more, provide more detail, or give more texture. And whether talking to friends or strangers, clients or colleagues, people who ask follow-up questions are perceived more positively. Indeed, when researchers analyzed dating conversations, they found that follow-up questions were particularly helpful in generating a positive impression. People who asked more follow-up questions were more likely to be asked on a second date. Follow-ups work because they signal responsiveness rather than just being polite or asking questions to change the subject. Follow-up questions demonstrate that someone listened, understood, and wants to know more. Want someone to like you, want to show that you listen and care. Don't just ask questions, ask the right questions. Follow questions show we are dialed in, we are interested in the conversation, tracked what someone said, and are excited to learn more. We value that person enough to listen to what he or she was saying and ask more about it. Deflect difficulty. Follow-up questions are useful, but depending on the situation, other type of questions can be helpful as well. Imagine interviewing for a job you are excited about, you are looking for a new challenge, and this opportunity seems like the perfect fit. A strong company, great position, and clear opportunities for advancement. The interview gets off to a good start, and the interviewer seems to like you a lot, but then things hit a speed bump. After asking about your past experiences and the skills you would bring to the role, the interviewer asks what you were paid in your previous position. Difficult questions like this come up all the time. When negotiating, potential buyers are often asked how much they are willing to spend. When selling a car, potential sellers are often asked about the car's repair record. And when interviewing for a job, applicants are often asked why they left their last job, whether they have other offers, or even when they plan on having children. Situations like these feel impossible. Not only are they uncomfortable and in some cases illegal, but it often feels like there is no way out. Our first instinct is to answer honestly, to respond direct and completely and tell the truth. Doing so, however, is often costly in negotiations. For example, someone who discloses private information may be exploited by their counterpart. Similarly, in job interviews, someone who tells the truth about their prior compensation, reason for leaving, or intent to having children may be offered less money or passed over for a position. But while answering honestly often puts us at a disadvantage, the alternatives are not much better. Refusing to answer is also problematic. Not surprisingly, no one likes someone who declines to respond. Further, while we may decline to respond in an effort to keep sensitive information private, the lack of response often reveals more than we intended. If someone asks us why we left our last job, saying we would prefer not to answer suggests there is negative information we are trying to cover up. Lying is also far from ideal. We can try to omit relevant information or tell an outright lie, but not only is deception dishonest, it has negative consequences if discovered. In sum, when replying to direct, difficult questions, it often feels like there are no good options. A couple of my Wharton colleagues wondered whether there might be a better way to respond. So in 2019, they recruited hundreds of adults and asked them to participate in an experiment on negotiations. Participants were asked to imagine that they were the owner of an art gallery who was trying to sell a painting called Hearts in the Spring. They were told that they had purchased the painting for $7,000 and that it was part of a four-piece Hertz series by a particular artist. That's it for the day.